I'd like to welcome everybody. I'd like to welcome our students from the Adirondacks all the way to Texas, and anybody else who will look at the recording later from many of our schools across the United States and in Ireland, to our Early College Awareness Week. So today we are Early College and Career Awareness Week, excuse me. Today we're going to visit with colleges and really kind of delve into some questions about processes and kind of interview the experts on helping our students navigate whether it's the application process or living on the campus or transitioning to the campus, and to help them, support their processes as they start to think about their choices in the future through their college application process. So I would like to welcome our two guests from the University of Vermont in Burlington, Chris Prolongo, who is the Associate Director of Admissions, and T.T. Nugent, who is the Assistant Director of Admissions. Chris and T.T., thank you. Before we get started, can you give us some of your background and talk a little bit about your pathway as you navigated the college process?
Well, I guess I'll go first. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet all of you. As Chris has mentioned, my name is TT. I am a first-generation student. Graduated from UVM about 7 years ago from now. I work in the admissions office going on my 6th year here. I have to tell you that as a first-generation student, navigating through the whole college search process was quite stressful, as I didn't really have much guidance from my parents. So I rely a lot heavily on my college counselor as well as my trio counselor at the time there. And they were definitely such a big help for me. And I probably said that I wouldn't make it through college without their support. So it was a wonderful journey nonetheless. But I'll pass it over to Chris. It's for him to introduce himself, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, Chris, and thanks, TT. Hi, everyone. Chris Prolongo, Associate Director of Admissions at UVM. He, him pronouns, and I, too, am a first-generation college student. Originally from New York City, grew up in Queens and Long Island, and spent most of my time in Queens before moving up to Burlington about 6 years ago. Similar to TT, with my parents didn't attend college. My dad went for a year, and my mom never went. So I, too, also didn't have a ton of advice. And I was fortunate where I was playing sports, so I had some coaches in my ear. But still, I leaned on my college counselor and some other resources like friends and family and just anybody I can grab to ask questions. And that's usually my biggest takeaway to folks is don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask for resources, as TT mentioned, wherever you can find them. There's no shame in doing so. It's an incredibly complex and involved process, and I think the more help and the more ways you reach out, you're going to find feedback from folks. That includes TT and myself today. So we're happy to be here. We're super excited. We've worked with folks here for a while now, and happy to help out. So, Chris, back to you.
Okay. Well, listen, so we have, two people, first-generation college-bound students. TT, before I get into some questioning, where did you grow up?
Yeah, great question. So I was born and raised in Vietnam, and I moved here to the state of Vermont in 2004. So kind of grew up in South Burlington area.
Okay.
In high school, and then went to UVM.
Okay. All right. Great. Because, that does kind of paint a picture for our students because, we have many, many students in urban and in rural areas. And sometimes navigating a large city school can be intimidating if you're a rural student or, in Chris's case and many of the people that we are connected with CFES that come out of the New York metropolitan area or something like that, going to a place like UVM. And Burlington is a city, but it's not New York City, and being able to navigate that. So, my first question is, and Chris said, don't be afraid to ask. Find resources at your disposal. What advice would you give our students to use their network and how to build a network as they navigate this process? Who should they first engage with, particularly if they're first-generation college-bound students and they don't have the privilege or the ability to talk to their parents?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will echo what Chris says about asking for help and don't hesitate, because I think allowing yourself to really seek out the resources when you need it the most is really important in your journey. The other thing I would add too is when you're looking at the different colleges, don't hesitate to reach out to the college advisors or college counselor from that schools itself. They are there as a resource for you to utilize. I have a lot of students from like 10th and 11th grader in high school now are writing me emails and asking about potential programs that they're looking at and resources that are available for students on campus. So don't be afraid to send them an email. And if you have, if you're not confident in writing an email, you can also ask your guidance counselor to kind of help look over that with you afterwards. If I know that for first generation students, many of you are probably in the TRIO program, so utilize your TRIO advisor will also be a great help as well.
Yeah, so students who are connected to TRIO or CFES, I mean, one of our goals here is we are working really hard to get as many career and college readiness trainers available to help support student networks so they can have these conversations and help them do research. Chris, how about you? You mentioned coaches. You were an athlete. That is a great way to create a network. Talk a little bit more about your network or what other kids can do if they aren't an athlete to support their network, to develop a network for the college process, excuse me.
Totally, yeah, Chris, and it's a great point because my experience was the flip. You're absolutely right. Coming from New York City, my graduating class, seniors alone, had 1,300 students in it. My high school was huge, so I knew my college counselor, very nice person, but she was very hard to really dive deep and know my situation, know my case. So a lot of it was on my own too, kind of the same. And establishing network was critical. So yeah, reaching out to friends, reaching out to counselors, reaching out to folks at CFES or other organizations you may be affiliated with, even if it's clubs or organizations, somebody has a story, somebody has a history, somebody has some type of advice they can give you in this whole process because each person's journey is going to be different. Right. And as TT mentioned, I think the biggest hurdle is overcoming some of that, like fear of asking for help, especially both pre and arrival to campus. We could talk about that too. But as a first gen college student, you don't want to stand out. You don't want to feel like you're behind. You don't want to feel like, I don't know how to do this. You got this. We need some people to help you. And I find whether it is coaches, whether it's advisors, and again, whether it's the folks here, we have been working together as a community in my 2 years at Burlington. We've done a series of programs like this for first gen students. So the internet, yes and no, can be a good place sometimes. I feel like, don't believe everything you read at times. So I think that if you're looking at a school specifically like a UVM or anywhere else, connect with those admissions counselors. We are here to help, especially folks who are in specifically and folks have jobs in access and inclusion. That's what TT and I do. That's our work. And we work with students from around the world, but specifically around the United States. And we know how to navigate these conversations because we both have direct experience. So know that we're here to help and don't hesitate. It's not a bad thing. You're not bothering us. Frankly, we want to hear from you too.
So you had mentioned some of the things on the internet are very good. I should have probably given you some of my background. I'm a retired high school principal and worked very closely at a large rural high school with our guidance department. And we really did emphasize having kids do as many searches as possible. And there are certain search engines that can do this, and to navigate it and use whatever school platform you may have to kind of look at what your career interests are or your strengths and weaknesses. If there were something that UVM felt confident in saying, here are some good sites to at least start to filter where your match is, do you have any insights where you think kids should start? If 1,300 kids in your high school, average ratio of a counselor to a student in the United States is 1 in 400. Kids are going to have to persevere and do some of this stuff independently. Where would you recommend they maybe start looking? Either one of you is fine.
I don't know if Chris has any recommendation, but I think to the first is there are some broader questions that students should really ask themselves. when it comes to what schools they're interested in looking at and even thinking about searching. I'm sorry, my internet is like freaking out right now, so I might get cut out. But I would recommend that asking questions like what kind of size of the schools that you're comfortable in imagining yourself going. The location of the college is also very important. Do you like West Coast or the East Coast? Do you want to stay in the North or you want to move to the South because of the weather? And I would say that depends on the program that you're interested in studying. That can also help give a good idea of how to sort out the colleges that you're interested in. But as far as search engine, I don't even remember what I did in high school when I was looking at colleges. I think going to guidance counselor office where they had a tons of brochures about different schools that they had there. And at the time, I was just looking at brochures mostly. I didn't remember looking at colleges online as much. And then obviously I took advantage of the opportunity to attend college fairs that was hosted by my high school. And that was a big help for me in terms of deciding what schools were. It kind of gave me good ideas of what school I should be interested in looking at. I don't know if Chris have anything to add to that.
Yeah, totally. And similar to TT, I'm going to date myself here. This is a long time ago in my college search. So we used to have these things called books on a counter, and you'd have to dive in, and they were like thousands of pages, right? You had to filter out those things. So the internet could be a good place for stuff like that. And some sites you can go on. I mean, Niche, Princeton Review, US News and World Report. I think even College Board does some stuff. There are ways to filter out your different colleges. But, and you guys probably know this better than we do, be savvy about it. They're marketing to you at certain extents, right? So based on what you put in there is based on what you're going to get out. So you're going to start getting information from these places. So I would say, depending where you are in the search, get your college first. So even if, say, for example, UVM is even remotely on your list, get there, fill out an inquiry card, get some information directly from that school. The reason why I say that is because that's where you know that information is frankly legit. Third-party sites are great. They may try their best, but their deadlines might be wrong. Their information might not be correct. And we work with all these folks to try to make them as rock solid as possible. But I think for your school list, even if there's even one or two on your list, definitely check out that school. And I would say to start your search, as TT mentioned, the virtual space has been good in this respect that you can jump on a college fair. A number of organizations will happy to have you on, whether it's NACAC or the College Board, or there's a variety of different ones out there we can share that all you do is register and show up and just click away at schools and hop in and out of rooms. So there are plenty of opportunities to do so, and the virtual space has kind of forced colleges to step up their game on online presence, and UVM has done the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, through the virtual world that we lived in this past school year and at the end of last school year at CFES, we've done a lot of virtual college tours and taking classrooms and kids through places where they can at least see the campus and then maybe do a little bit of research on their own. And you also mentioned as you start your search, students who have the ambition and the desire and the potential to go on to a post-secondary school generally are goal-focused students, and they practice their goal-setting skills. What kind of goals should they be looking at? What kind of timelines should they tie to their goals as they go through this search process?
TT, I'll go first. We're both reaching for the mouse at the same time. I'll go first in this one.
Okay.
So I think for this right now where you're sitting with your sophomores or juniors, and forgive me, I'm not sure where folks are, probably mixed in this room, right? Realize that a lot of this work has already been done. Many colleges, when they review their applications, your transcript is the first thing they look at, right? So no matter where you are in your high school journey right now, first year, second year, third year, senior year, the grades you're getting in your classes will be the first piece. So be confident about that, because I know from all my students, this is a daunting process. There is a lot to get done with applications and rec letters and deadlines and how to make my extras look good and all this stuff, right? So be confident in the fact that you've done some of this work already, especially if you're a junior. So I would say in this part, keep your grades up. That is the biggest thing right now, right? In the high school experience, what you can do is make sure you're getting it done in your classes, regardless of what classes you're taking. Challenge yourself, but don't overwhelm yourself. And Chris, coming up and going too much, testing is part of that too. The SATs, a lot of schools have gone test optional this year. We can talk about that, and you can explore schools, and it's not a bad thing to be test optional. I really want to drive that home, especially this year, because many students couldn't take that exam, and colleges are not going to fault you for that. We also understand that this year was unusual for everybody, to say the least. So your activities, your opportunities to do community service, all these things have been impacted. So understand that colleges will look at that with that lens. So it doesn't mean you just sit back and coast. That's not what I'm saying. Find creative ways to get involved and do different things, and students have done that. But also understand that the weight of this isn't on you exclusively. You want to find a way to do the best you can within the space that you're in.
TT, before you jump in, I wanna kind of add something that Chris said, and again, this goes back to my history as a school principal. I think it's really important, and I like the perception of the admissions, leaders would be. I always encouraged our students to get uncomfortable in their academics. Don't set yourself up to have a bunch of D's and C's on your report card, but you're better off taking a dual enrollment course or two, or taking some AP classes. What is the threshold? Where do admissions people at UVM see that, and why is that beneficial than taking the baseline coursework and getting an A, but not really be challenged? Can we extend that question into that, please? TT, you can take that one.
Sure, that's a great question, Chris. And I would say, just to add to something that Chris says earlier as well, and then I'll answer that question too. The other thing is, I would encourage all of you to start working on your college essay early. The earlier you start, the better. That will give you plenty of time to kind of just go back for revisions and things like that. And then the other tips is, for any colleges out there that you're looking at that offer optional essays, just do it. Just do it. That's what we like to see on our end with regards to our application process from the UVM side, because it definitely speaks to the level of interest that the students had within the school. And then, Chris, to answer your questions about taking dual enrollment classes as well as honors and APs, what that basically means is that it sets you apart from the regular applicant pool of students who would typically have just basic level college prep and college prep courses. And program that you're looking at too, I know that for some programs that are really rigorous, like STEM, for example, or nursing, or anything that health sciences related, they typically look for a very strong applicant, and they like to see students who have taken honors and AP courses throughout their high school. And the nice thing about the dual enrollment courses is that you can later on transfer those credits to whatever college you're going to and receive college credits for those courses that you've taken in high school.
You kind of actually went into my next question was, oftentimes first generation college families, it's blurred as to what is a dual enrollment course and how do you get college credit out of it, and what is an AP course. And I think sometimes the perception is, if I take an AP course, I get college credit. Can you help our families and our students differentiate between the two? What is a dual enrollment course and how does it work? And, the AP course, what are the standards that must be attained to get college credit? Because that's really important, particularly to families who have never had that opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. So I can speak to that, and then Chris, feel free to add anything that I might have missed. But dual enrollment courses are courses that are offered through the high schools, that you can take those classes at like a local community college, for example, and get that credit. Will count for both college credits as well as high school credits. And in order to receive credits for those courses, what you'll need to do at the end of the semester, where you've finished the course, is to have official transcript be sent to whatever college that you're interested in going. The college will then take that transcript and then convert and give you the credits that you earn for that course that you've taken. AP classes, AP stands for Advanced Placement Classes. they're offered throughout high schools. Some schools will have a list of the different AP classes that they offer. Students who have taken AP classes, I strongly recommend that you sit for the AP exam at the end of the semester. If you score, I know that for the UVM side, if you score at least a 4 and a 5, you can earn anywhere between 3 credits to 8 credits, college credits for the course that you've taken. And just like any other college, we require an official test scores, AP test scores, to be sent to us in order for us to give you the credits for those things. But definitely take advantage of those opportunities if your high school offer those. I don't know if Chris has anything to add to that.
That's an excellent explanation, and I kind of wish I had that answer oftentimes when parents ask me. But one of the things that I would tell parents as well is dual enrollment in AP courses are financial aid. You pay $83 to take an AP test, and if you get a 4 and you get 3 credits at UVM, and I don't even know what the cost of a single credit is at UVM, but or a dual enrollment course at a local community college, if you come in with 12 dual enrollment credits and 3 AP credits, that's a semester of tuition that you have paid. And taking advantage of those things that are considerably cheaper than the tuition not only does help the family reduce cost, but it also bolsters the student's transcript and resume when they go to apply, for schools. So we're about 10 minutes out, and unfortunately, Castleton State is not going to get on our call. But I want to kind of transition our conversation now from the process of the application and search to what should students be preparing for as they transition onto your campus. It's May, 10th, 11th, 12th. Many kids have put their deposits in. What should our seniors really be preparing for now and getting ready to make that big transition onto a campus? Chris, can you jump on that one?
Yeah, sure thing. I think the best advice, and that was great advice, Chris, to your last point about AP scores and testing and saving costs, because I was that student. The only way I was able to go to my school of choice, because I took a lot of APs and got credit, was able to come in with a semester ahead. If not, I would not be able to afford my institution. And I couldn't go to my first or second choice because of affordability. That's something we should talk about too. But in terms of what you should be doing right now for students who are going to be going to campus in the fall, the biggest thing is keep an eye on your emails. I know you're getting a lot of stuff right now, but that's how colleges communicate with you in most cases. You might get text messages every once in a while, but email is going to be king right now for orientation information, for housing information, for student insurance information, all these different pieces that are going to come at you in the next few months. You definitely need to stay on top of them because they have deadlines. We looked at UVM, for example. Our housing deadline is pretty strict, especially this year because of a big class coming in. So you want to make sure you stay on top of it. There's no question. So I'd say those pieces are the biggest ones right now is keep an eye on emails, asking questions, and know again that your admissions counselors, we're still here. It's not like you get in, you're coming to UVM, you're done. CT and I work with students all throughout the summer and even when they arrive on campus to help out. So I would say the biggest message for me is keep an eye on your email, keep an eye on your tasks. Many schools will have what they call a checklist that you have to work through over the course of the summer. UVM has one too. Stay on top of it because that'll help you in the long run.
That's a little different than when the rest of us went to school. And as the father of 5 students, and I still have 2 in college, you're preaching to the choir. Keep checking your email. Make sure you know deadlines. TT, what about when kids get on campus? So they arrive, it's late August. We've only got a minute and a half or 2 minutes to go. So what should some of our students do to make sure that they're making connections once they arrive on campus to help the transition?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. I know that starting your first semester in college is quite daunting for many of us, like, oh my God, the stress of having to make friends again. But I think the easiest way for you to start making some connection is with your roommate and the folks that you are living in the same hallway with. I would also recommend you to go to resources fair. So check out what clubs and organizations that the school has. That's probably another quickest way for you to start establishing connections online on campus as well. If you do have large lecture hall classes, don't be afraid to sit in the front row. What happens in time I hear from faculty members is that they don't they get a little bit sad when they see students just fighting each other to sit all the way in the back of the class in a large lecture hall, and they would love to see more students sit in the front because I know it's daunting as a lot of people, but again, your faculty members don't bite. It is a good way for you to establish a connection with them as well, and for them to get to know you as a student as well. But I don't know if Chris, you have anything else to add to that?
No, you're good. You nailed it, TT. And I think, again, don't be afraid. Chris made the point before about stepping out of your academic comfort zone. Don't be afraid to step out of your social comfort zone as well. Meet people, connect, join a club or 2 or 5, organizations. You don't have to stay with it your 4 years. Don't be afraid to try things out. All of my backgrounds in higher education is that everything shows that students who are successful, no matter what school they go to, are the ones who find community right away. So however you define community, go out there and find your people. Connect, whether it's in the residence hall, whether it's through sports, the arts, whatever it may be. Just the students that have the most trouble are the ones who wake up, go to class, and go back to our dorms and do nothing else. That's not the college experience. You want to dive right in, and don't be afraid. I know it's daunting, but still, you'll make connections and meet those people.
Use your CFES essential skills. Build your network right out of the gate. Get involved. And some of the people that you connect with early in college will probably be lifelong friends or people within your network for many, many years to come. Chris and TT, I'd love to ask you 20 more questions, but unfortunately, we have 2 other guests coming in right behind you. I want to thank you so much for sharing your insights. And if our students who are watching this, or who many I know will be watching recordings at other lunch sessions today and tomorrow, please feel free to email Chris and TT if you have other questions that we didn't